Okay, friends, today is the day where we are going to talk about artificial intelligence. And this episode has been in my head for a very, very long time. Even before this podcast was even a thing, I've been thinking about it, mulling it over. It's been bouncing around in there like one of those old school DVD player screensavers. I don't like to participate in debates about it. I find them a little cringy, actually. And I really do think it's because of how conflicted I am about the whole thing. This internal debate that I have is enough debate for me because that debate is very, very intense. And if I'm being really honest here, I don't even like to hear people talk about it. I don't like to hear the podcast episodes. I avoid those. I scroll past the think pieces. And I don't care if it's from some Joe Schmo photographer or artist in their basement talking about it with their friends, or from the New York Times if Ezra Klein is talking about it. I don't really care who it is. I tend to avoid it all because whenever people talk about it, it's either coming from an economic standpoint or a scientific standpoint or an environmental standpoint. And I really do feel like there's something missing about it, something deeper, something a little bit more human. And you know, I understand that there are environmental issues with AI. I totally understand that. There's the energy consumption. There's the fact that these data centers take up an incredible amount of energy and it raises prices for everybody because we're paying for the amount of energy that they're consuming. There's also the carbon footprint and all these sort of long-term environmental issues. I'm not talking about that today. There are vastly more qualified people to talk about that issue with than me. So I don't really have a place to talk about it. And I understand that there are vast economic impacts. There is job displacement. There is industry collapse. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, but that's really not my main point either. There are, again, far more smart or more eloquent people out there discussing those aspects. So if that's what you're looking for, you won't get much of that. Listen, I'm coming at this as a photographer who makes his living creating images, but I'm also coming at it from a perspective of a father to a daughter who's growing up in this new world where AI is just going to be really normal. And above that, though, I want to talk about it as a human who thinks and who makes and feels things. So yeah, all of this is complicated as fuck, which leads me to say this. I'm going to tell you something that I am highly embarrassed to admit, something that I'll probably cringe at in the next few weeks if I listen back on this episode. But I'm just going to say it in full transparency. It's something that will probably make some people mad. It'll make a lot of people just roll their eyes, probably you. But I just need to tell you, there's a part of me, a really big part that wants, this sounds so stupid, that wants to give Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, that really rich guy, a big giant hug. And I know he's seen as a villain and he might have villain components to him. I have to thank him. And I am telling you this as someone who really just fucking hates hugs, you know? No way. Don't ever, if you ever see me in public, just don't try to hug me. We'll just fist bump, shake hands, do whatever we need to do there, but just don't. I'm not a big hugger. ChatGPT, which is owned by OpenAI, it's its flagship product, really has helped me a ton with projects and life things. It really has been, remarkably helpful for me. Very useful in ways that I never would have expected. I just want to be, again, more transparent. Let me be specific about how AI has specifically helped me. I have ADHD. I'm not neurotypical. I hate my brain most days. It sucks. Some days I can hyper focus for hours, long hours, but other days my brain just doesn't work that well. If you ask me to organize a project or remember which client that I need to email about the thing that they emailed me back 3 weeks ago, it's a little bit more difficult. And ChatGPT is this stupid, brilliant, non-judgmental computer that spits out ones and zeros. I understand what it is. But it really has been, on some level, this sort of external brain for me. I can brain dump ideas, my concerns, half-formed thoughts into it, and it helps me make sense of them. It asks me questions. It helps me organize. It helps me work. It helps me do a lot of things. It's a partner. It's a tool. And it's a really, really smart but fundamentally dumb tool. And for people like me, people whose brains don't work the way that they're supposed to, it's not a luxury. It really is accessibility. And I felt like for a long time throughout school and most of my career that I've been sort of walking through, navigating life with this limp, watching other people move through the world faster and easier and more organized. And AI, really, it's like somebody giving me a cane. I still have that limp, but it's something to hold on to so I can try to keep up. And so some people might hear that and be like, that's a crutch, dude. That's a crutch. But I call it a way to function and navigate in this world, a way to be better, better for my career, better for my mental health, better for my family, better for my well-being. And I don't care what the fuck you call it. I'm actually thankful for it. And that's why this whole thing is so fucking complicated, because this tool that's helped me might also be the tool that ends me. You know what I mean? That feeling when you're grateful and terrified in the exact same breath, where something helps you and threatens you simultaneously. When someone like Sam Altman, the CEO and founder of ChatGPT OpenAI, you aren't really sure if he's a villain or a hero or a mixture of both, or where the villain begins and the hero begins, and it's complicated. And look, my wife, Jamie, she's a designer. She works in costume. She creates worlds that are just as vulnerable to this as photography. And Lucy, my daughter, grows up in a generation that won't know or quite know what's real anymore. And every photographer that I know, designer, illustrator, writer, creative, I know is quietly running this calculation, this calculus in their head. How long do I have? So yeah, I want to give Sam Altman a hug for making something that's genuinely helped me function as a human with a broken brain. But I also want to shake him and ask him if he's thought about what will happen to people like me, people like us. And both things are true. Both things can be true at the same time. And I don't really know what to do with this. My name is Patrick Four, and this is a Terrible Photographer podcast, where we have honest conversations about creativity, identity, and finding your voice. This episode, the one that I've been avoiding, today we're talking about AI. I'm calling it Bloody Knuckles.
The distant future, the year 2000. The distant future, the year 2000. The distant future, the distant future.
It is the distant future, the year 2000.
We are robots.
The world is quite different ever since the robotic uprising of the late 90s. There is no more unhappiness.
Affirmative.
We no longer say yes. Instead, we say affirmative.
Yes, affirmative.
Unless we know the other robot really well.
There is no more unethical treatment of the elephants.
Well, there's no more elephants, so... but still, it's good. There's only one kind of dance, the robot.
Oh, and the robo.
Oh, and the two kinds of dances.
But there are no more humans.
Finally, robotic beings rule the world.
The humans are dead.
humans are dead. We used poisonous gases, and we poisoned their asses.
So I feel like AI is two completely different things and two different feelings. On one hand, it's exciting, it's new, it's going to save me time. It can do things that I couldn't, and it can do things quicker, and it's going to make my images better and better faster. And it's going to make me, in some ways, a better photographer. I can do new creative things, and that's exciting. But also, it enables everyone else to do creative and exciting things. And some of those people won't need the creatives anymore, not in the same way they do now. So many people will still need great photography, but not everyone will. Oh, and of course there's the fact that it could well kill us all in a few years, but that just feels terrifying. Cheers.
And it's a lazy machine. It's not intelligent. It's just a very advanced search function, it feels like some days. It's machine learning. Which I guess you could say is a form of intelligence. It's learning, but it's only learning what we put in. And a lot of the times, as someone who's worked in tech for a good 10 years or so now, the data we put in is so shit. We get shit out. And I suppose this is a lot of this bit is coming from a purely technical understanding of it.
Humans are the creators. I have no idea what AI is going to do for the future of creative industries, but I can tell you everything it's being trained on was made by people. Writers, artists, filmmakers, comedians, and other people using their imperfect human brains to express their thoughts and feelings through the lens of their experiences. AI doesn't have any experiences. It can't make artistic choices about lenses or lighting, or camera angles, movement, plot details, or anything else. And while it, may be gleaming information from the greatest versions of all those things, it can never pick up a camera and go to a location and film a person. It can never ask them a follow-up question. It can never choose to share a human moment, between them.
Yeah, that's the sound, right? It's fear and awe and fatigue and hope all tangled together. I've been sitting with some of those same feelings too. So why now? Why this episode now? Last week was Adobe Max. If you don't know, it's Adobe's big annual conference. And they rolled out just a pile of new AI features across all of their apps. Some of it's fine. It's quality of life stuff. Some of it, though, I feel like crossed a line and got me a little fired up and inspired this episode. They've added a conversational AI assistant that helps automate some tasks across Photoshop and Express. Some new Firefly models that generates graphics and textures and even audio. That's fine, whatever. And of course, some new generative tools for video editing and some image manipulation. But this one really sort of pissed me off. Photoshop, which is the Adobe product that I use the most. Photoshop can now change people, not just retouch them, but change them. You can swap out hair, eyes, facial expressions, clothing, even hands and accessories, all without re-rendering the whole person. You can relight their face or body. You can add a directional key light, add a rim light, match them to a new background. You can rotate a subject's head, adjust their shoulders, shift an arm or hand position. And in Photoshop Beta, you can even change the camera angle. So if you shot someone straight on, you can tell Photoshop just to move the camera up 3 feet and have the model, the subject, look at the camera. Boom. It's, new angle. You got a new image with the same person. We're moving way past power lines and expanding the background. We're now changing people. And I keep getting asked the same thing. Patrick, what do we do with this? Do we boycott? Do we complain? Do we switch tools? And I'm going to give you a really honest answer. Probably nothing matters. None of that matters. Adobe is too big. They really do set the tone for the market for everyone else. So we can yell, we can threaten to cancel, but we probably won't, because if you're anything like me, we need Photoshop. I don't have the luxury of canceling. Photoshop is so embedded in my workflow. I love Capture One. I use Capture One most days, and it covers probably 80% of my workflow. But when it comes to compositing and fine-tune retouching, the deep post work, Photoshop is still industry standard. And Adobe knows that. They have a monopoly, and monopolies don't care about your feelings. And what they've figured out is that there are way more people who want to be photographers than who are actually photographers. And those people, the hobbyists, the side hustlers, the quote content creators, they don't care about the ethics or the craft generally. They just want results, fast and cheap and easy. The fast food of photography. So Adobe isn't selling to us, the professionals, anymore, because we give them such a small share of their profits. They're selling to them. And that's the brutal truth that I'm here today to give you. They've already made their choice. So that begs the question, what can we control? Honestly, not much. But we can decide where we draw our own lines. That's about it. And honestly, I didn't think that we would get here so fast. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine from New York. We were talking about AI, one of the times that I actually was talking about AI. And I was like, I don't think it's going to get to the point where it'll affect commercial work. Because when I shoot commercial campaigns, generally they need a library of images. So if I shoot a model on a background, they need not just one image, but the same model in 20 different positions and different crops for various outputs, different applications. But now, Adobe, Google, Midjourney, they can all do it. Same model, just different pose. And look, removing a power line, removing the key stand in the frame, hell, even removing the cell phone from the model's pocket that he accidentally left there. I don't care about that stuff, expanding the background for different crops. Whatever. But there's just something that bothers me about changing a model's pose, their expression, their body language. That's something else entirely. Because at that point, it's not just a creative issue, it's an economic issue. Here's the math that's happening in a boardroom right now. So you have two options. Option one, we can hire Patrick and his $4,000 day rate, plus model fees, plus assistance, plus licensing fees. Or B, we can just generate it for $100 in a subscription. That's the calculation. And it's real. And look, I can be faster. We can all be faster. We can all be better. We can, bring our full humanity into the project. We can bring direction and, collaboration, the human stuff. But if the client just needs an image, any image, why would they hire me? Why would they hire you? And that's what keeps me up at night. Not the philosophy, not the ethics, the practicality. Because it's the practical, even though those are important, and we'll talk about that. But how do I pay my mortgage kind of fear? How do I take care of my family kind of fear? I have a family. Lucy and Jamie are my priority above everything else. And any technology that threatens my ability to provide for them, yeah, this shit gets personal. And beyond that, there's something deeper that affects us all. It's not that I think I'm a bad photographer. I don't. I think I'm pretty good. It's the fear of becoming irrelevant. You know? I think that's the part that stings, if I'm really honest, as an artist. And maybe what pisses me off most is what it's doing to people. Models, for instance, they spend years building their look, their presence, their reputation. They train, they take care of themselves. They eat right, they show up, they collaborate. They bring something human to the work, our work. And every great photographer will tell you the best images come from collaboration. And when that connection with the model is good, the image sings. But when it's bad, it dies. And now, with a few prompts, we can fix it. We can manipulate them. We can change their face. We can change their pose. We can modify their expression without their consent. Listen, they're not pixels. They're people. And when you start treating people as just raw material, when there's no difference between a person and a trash can you forgot to remove on set, you've crossed the line. That's my line anyway. You can draw yours wherever you want, but for me, I don't want to change somebody's body or face or expression without their knowledge. Because at that point, I'm not collaborating. I'm controlling. And I don't think that's photography. That's something else. You know, as I was writing this, I had this question that sort of surfaced in my brain. What's the difference between what we're doing to models, what Adobe is doing to models, to talent, to subjects, and what Hollywood has been doing to actors for years? Studios use CGI to make actors look younger, stronger, sexier. They've been doing it for years. They change lighting and they smooth skin and they rebuild faces, right? They can give you a six-pack when you didn't have a six-pack. Sometimes they even bring back people from the dead to complete films. So what's the difference? Well, for one, they know. Even if you're dead, you probably have a stipulation in your contract. You know ahead of time. There's a little bit of transparency going on, right? There's more consent. There's a team of lawyers that make sure everyone's signed off before that movie hits the theaters. In photography, there's no checkbox for this. There's no union to say, don't change my face. And maybe that's what gets me. Because in the movies, the manipulation is honestly part of the deal. Everyone watching knows that it's fiction. But in photography, even the stylized kind, it still carries this illusion of truth. People believe they're seeing something that actually happened. And so when we start altering people without them knowing, we're not enhancing a story. We're rewriting reality. Movies manipulate performance, but AI manipulation erases presence. And that, to me, is a line. I want to take a step back. I want to talk about my daughter for a second. My daughter, Lucy, is growing up in a world, our kids are growing up in a world, if you have kids, where you can't trust what you see anymore. I remember she was, a couple weeks back, she was watching a video that she saw online, and she asked me if it was real. She stuck an iPad in my face and asked me if it was real. And I looked at it and I didn't know. I had to watch it with her and we had to figure it out together. And she's beginning to learn that she can't trust her eyes. And part of me is proud, right? Like she's developing critical thinking early. But there's another part of me that's a little bit heartbroken that she has to. What does that do to kids? What does that do to a generation? Not just creatively, but psychologically. What does it mean to grow up never knowing if what you're looking at is actually real, if it's actually happened, if the person in the image actually exists? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think any of us know. I don't think this technology has been around long enough to sort of do the studies and research that understands what this is potentially doing to our brains and our kids' brains. But I think about this stuff a lot. You know, I think about the world we're leaving for her, the world that we're leaving for our future kids, where truth is negotiable, where reality is optional, where nothing really can be fully trusted. And I don't know if we're teaching her healthy skepticism or just visual paranoia. And there's this dull pain in my soul that I can't quite name. It's not really panic. It's not fear. It's just loss. You know, it's like we're losing something we can't get back, something essential. Photography used to require someone to be somewhere, to see something and choose something. And now it doesn't, you know, you can generate an image without ever leaving your house, without putting on the shoes and putting on your jacket and walking out to a car and driving somewhere and getting the camera out of your trunk and actually making a decision to press the shutter. I don't know what that does to us. The craft, the meaning of it all. Author and photographer Susan Sontag said, "To photograph is to appropriate the thing photographed. But AI doesn't appropriate. It generates. It synthesizes. It creates something that never existed." Again, that's not photography. That's something, I think, else entirely. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's just the new medium. Maybe that's just the world that we're living in. But it feels like we're losing something in the translation, the craft, the discipline, the practice of seeing. Here's the paradox that's been eating at me. Even if I never touch AI, even if every image that I make is shot purely in camera, lit by me, directed by me, chosen by me, does it even matter? Because now every image exists in a context where people assume it might be AI. That trust is broken, not just in bad work, but in all work. The book that I wrote, I've had a few people ask, just have AI write this book for you? What? No. It just takes away from the hours and hours that I spent in coffee shops and at 3 a.m. hunched over my Mac, typing away, of rereading it and deleting everything and rewriting it. We're all going to feel the effects of this. When we make work, people might assume, oh, wow, that's really good. Is that Google Gemini? Is that Nano Banana or whatever fucking Google made? Is that Adobe Firefly? We're all going to feel this. We're all going to get painted with the same brush. And we can make the most honest, human, intentional work in our lives. And someone will still wonder if it's AI because they don't know anymore. That's the erosion, friends. That's the loss. And I don't know how to fight this. I really don't. We are fighting against powers that are way bigger than us, forces that are way bigger than us, with way more money and way more energy behind it. It's inevitable, friends. This is the new world in which we live, in which we work, in which we create. The trust that was once there is no longer there. I can't imagine being a journalist having to deal with the ethics around this, where people second guess everything you do. Oh, that's just made up. Even though you, as the human, as the journalist, was there, you captured the image for people just to say, no, that's fake news. That image was AI. What do you do? It's a maddening thing. I don't know how to fight this. I don't know if you can. So what do we do? What do we do with this? Here's the thing that I just keep coming back to. I keep asking myself the question, when it all is stripped away, what am I actually afraid of losing? Is it the ability to make images? No. We all know that AI can do that. Hell, AI can do that probably better than me in some ways. Is it the income? Partially, yes. That's real. That's terrifying, but it's a different problem than what I'm talking about. Is it something else? Then it kind of hit me. I was taking my dog for a walk thinking about this question. What am I actually afraid of losing? And it's not the output. It's the practice. It's the ritual of showing up with my camera. The discipline of seeing. The act of being present with a subject. It's the flow state when the light comes together and I'm making the choices in real time. The problem solving, the collaboration, the doing it. That's what I've been losing. Not the images, the practice itself. And here's the thing that just keeps coming back in my head over and over again. AI can generate images all day, but it cannot generate the practice. It can't generate the experience of being on set at 7 a.m., dialing in the light, watching someone else's guard drop when they trust you. It can't generate the moment when you see something, really see it, and know exactly what you need to do. It cannot generate presence. It can't generate flow, intention, choice. Those things require a human. They require me. They require you. And that realization, it's been a paradigm shift to me for the past couple of weeks because I've been thinking about this all wrong. I think we've all been thinking about this all wrong. We've been so fucking focused on the output, right? The portfolio, the Instagram post, the client deliverable, the final image, that we forgot about the thing that actually matters, which is the practice. This isn't new, by the way. The ancient writers have been talking about this forever, since the beginning. And we just forgot. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations to publish it. He didn't write it for the book deal. He didn't write it for a content strategy. He didn't write it for a personal branding initiative. He wrote that for himself. The practice was the point. He was practicing virtue, practicing philosophy, practicing being present. The Stoics called it amar fati. Love your fate. Love the work itself, not just the outcome. Buddhism has been saying this for 2,500 years. Non-attachment to results. The Eightfold Path isn't about achieving enlightenment. It's about walking the path. The practice is the enlightenment. Taoism calls it Wu Wei, which is effortless action, being in flow with the work itself, not forcing outcomes. Zen monks have been saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And I think that's the best advice for us all to practice. The mundane practice is the sacred. The doing is the holy. Even Brother Lawrence, the 17th century monk, wrote about finding God in washing dishes. The act itself, the practice, that's where the divine lives. So there's a book written by Robert Pirsig. He wrote an entire book on this. It's one of my favorite books. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And yeah, I know how pretentious this all sounds, but stay with me. This whole thing is about a motorcycle trip across America, but it's not really about the motorcycle. It's about this idea that we've split the world into two camps: the spiritual people and the technical people, the Zen people and the maintenance people. And Pirsig saying that split, that separation, that's what's killing us. Because paying attention to a spark plug, noticing a loose bolt, or checking your oil, that's not just maintenance. That's actually presence. That's mindfulness. That's engaging with reality in a direct and physical way that's just as profound as sitting on a meditation cushion. The work is the meditation. And I keep thinking about that in the context of AI, because what are companies like Adobe and OpenAI and Google selling us? They're selling us the end product, the shiny, finished thing, the output without the work. They're saying, you don't need to get your hands dirty. You don't need bloody knuckles. You don't need grease stains on your pants. We'll give you the image without the labor. And that sounds kind of good, right? Efficiency and speed, results. But the bloody knuckles, the grease stains, the moment when your back hurts from leaning over a light stand and you're problem solving in real time, and you finally see it come together. That's not the cost of work. That's the whole point of work. That's where your voice bleeds into the image, and that's where you show up. Not in the final JPEG that you export to a client. It's the process of making it. And whether the world sees that, whether the client appreciates that, whether your peers notice that, it doesn't actually matter, because you were there. You did the thing. You made the thing. And at the end of the day, that's what's incredible. Not that we have made something, but that we get to make something. The work itself, the practice, the process, that's the gift. We've known this. We've always known this. We just forget because we get so obsessed with the content, the metrics, with the likes and the shares and the portfolio pieces and the client work and the money. We turn the practice into a means to an end instead of the end itself. And AI is forcing us to remember. But here's what I think is going to happen. What I hope is actually going to happen. I think people are going to make all those goofy AI images, the fake videos, the generated nonsense. Companies are going to make the campaigns There's going to be an absolute flood of this stuff. Then there's going to be a rebellion, a resurgence, a hunger for real. Because when everything is varnish and veneer, when every image is slick and perfect and generated, the raw stuff, the real stuff is going to hit different. Think about it. In an ocean of computer interpreted images, humans are going to rise up and make work that just fucking drips with humanity. Messy, organic, flawed, real work. It's going to be postmodern. It's going to be a little punk rock, a middle finger for the algorithmic perfect. And I don't know what that looks like yet. Maybe it's, a continued resurgence of film, something that's provably analog. Maybe it's some other innovative way to underscore the humanity of the work. I don't know. But here's what I know. Humans are incredibly fucking creative. We're interesting. We're adaptable. We will find a way to make work that's so undeniably human that AI can't touch it. We can do that work right now, today. We can make real shit that reflects who we truly are and what we truly think and feel. We have that ability right now. No one can take it from us. And honestly, I think that's where this whole thing is headed. Not towards AI replacing us, but towards AI creating such a massive pile of boring sameness that the real stuff, the human stuff, becomes more valuable than ever. Scarcity creates value. It always has. And if AI floods the world with images, then the real stuff, the provably human stuff, becomes that rare commodity. We might actually be walking into the golden age of authentic work. We just have no idea. The practice isn't just the point philosophically. It might be the thing that saves us economically too. Here's what I'm realizing, friends. If I've been making the work just to have the output, just to have the portfolio piece, the Instagram post, the thing that I can show people, then yeah, AI is a real threat because it can do it faster, cheaper, easier. But if I'm making work because the practice is the point, because showing up with my camera makes me more present, more alive, and more human, then AI becomes irrelevant. It can't fucking touch that. Look, it can generate images all day long. We all know this. But it can't generate the unique experience, the unique human experience of making them. It can't generate what it feels like to be in the flow, to solve problems, to see something, to be present with another human being, to feel the pressure of failure and then rise above it to make something amazing. That's mine. That's ours. And honestly, that's the only thing that has ever mattered. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to go make something where you don't care about the output, where the practice is the point. I want you to shoot something that you won't post, that you won't show anybody, that you won't add to your portfolio. And if you're really brave right now, you will switch your camera to JPEG. You won't even bother editing it. You will just make the thing in the camera with no help from AI or sliders, Capture One, Photoshop. You'll just make an image, right? Shutter speed, aperture, ISO. Those are your tools. That's what you have to work with. I want you to practice seeing, to practice being present with your camera, to practice the craft. Because that's the thing that they can't generate. That's the experience that we're talking about. That's the thing that they can't take from you, no matter how powerful or capable AI becomes. Feel that weight of the camera in your hand. That's what real feels like. The practice was always the point. AI, I think, just forced us to remember. And maybe, just maybe, that's the gift in all of this. It's not a threat, but a reminder that the work isn't about what you make. It's about who you become while making it. That's what survives. That's what matters. AI will keep getting better. Clients will keep getting cheaper. The industry will keep changing, but none of that matters. What matters is this. Can you show up? Can you still see? Can you still choose? Can you still practice the craft? Because that's the only thing that they can't take from you. And honestly, it was always the only thing that mattered. AI can do a lot right now. It can write whole books. It can generate images. It can tell you what to wear on a date. But it can't go on the date for you. It can't give you the experience. It can't give you the story. It can't give you the nerves and the butterflies at the moment when you realize you actually want to see this person again. It can't give you those bloody knuckles while you're laying on your back in your garage trying to change your own oil. Because here's what we forget, friends. The best part of working, of making, of being human is always the hard stuff. It's the messy stuff, the butterflies, the things that leaves marks on you. That's not the cost. That's the whole point. So go make something this week. Get your hands dirty. Earn those bloody knuckles. Feel the weight of the camera in your hand. That's what real still feels like. Because that's the only thing they can't take from you. So until next week, stay curious, stay courageous, stay human, and yeah, stay terrible.